In this video I'm going to talk about the subclass perks I use in my Gunslinger build and tips on how to use the Tripmine grenade effectively. And in the second part I'll talk about my armour and recommendations there, and also how to use the throwing knife effectively. The whole basis of my Gunslinger build is built upon the fact that I use medium to long range weapons, i.e. Red Death or another pulse rifle and a sniper as my special weapon, and therefore I use the Tripmine and the throwing knives as my close range weapons. And therefore I tend to use the Gunslinger build on either small maps or maps where there's very tight corridors or doorways, whereas I'll tend to use my Blade Dancer on larger maps or maps where there's more open spaces. So to start with, I'm just going to run through my subclass perks. I'll come back to the grenades column. Jumping column, everyone uses triple jump, is by far the best jump. Golden gun column, I mainly use combustion, in particular for 6v6 game modes like Clash and Control, because you're more likely to have people grouped together. So one golden gun shot is more likely to take out multiple enemies at once, whereas in 3v3 like skirmish that's less likely to happen. So in something like skirmish I'm more likely to use gunfighter, which allows the golden gun cooldown to be reduced, I think, by 30 seconds. I've never been in a situation where you need the accuracy increased. I mean, if you can't hit from relatively close range with a golden gun, then you're doing something wrong. Next perk, I use this one because I use two throwing knives, as you'll see in a minute, so I want to do as much damage as possible with my throwing knife. I don't think the other perks really offer much. These ones, this column and this column here, they don't really do much for Crucible, so I'm going to gloss over those. And then the final two columns, I use the Gunslinger's Trance, so it increases your weapon stability and it can be stacked up to 3 times. Golden Gun over penetrates isn't useful for Crucible, and picking up ammo reduces the cooldown. Again, Scavenger, that's more of a PvE perk where you're more likely to find multiple scenarios where you're going to find ammo from killing lots of aliens than you are in Crucible. And then final column, I want an additional throwing knife. I've never been in a situation where the range isn't enough for my golden gun, and because I mainly use Red Death, which has a speed reload perk anyway, this is useless for me. I'd rather have an additional throwing knife for close range combat. And then coming back to the grenades, I use the Tripmine grenade, and again, when combined with throwing knives, they are two very useful close range weapons essentially, because I'm mostly using medium to long range weapons. So I mostly use a pulse rifle, for example Red Death, and then a sniper as my special weapon over, say, Last Word Thorn as a primary and shotgun as a secondary as a special. So I've got medium long range rather than any short range weapons, so I need to compensate with that, and a Tripmine grenade and 2 throwing knives are useful as short range weapons. The most important point for me when using Tripmine grenades is to not waste them. I see too many people just placing them over doorways and alleyways where there's no one actually close to them at that moment in time. So you're not actually using it when you need it most, when you're most likely to get a kill. You're placing it in hope that somewhere at some point will walk straight into it. And the likelihood is that someone won't walk into it, or you will die before someone does. So I'm looking to use it either by hitting someone directly in a tight space like a doorway or corridor, or placing it in front of where they are about to go, where they've got no chance to stop and change direction because they're either chasing me or they're being backed away into a corner. And as you can see, maps like Anomaly, Burning Shrine have great areas where you can use Tripmine grenades effectively. Other maps also, like Cauldron, Blind Watch, I think they're the main kind of 4 maps that I would look to use the Gunslinger build with Tripmine grenades on.